time to get my builder's ticket. And I remember going into the interview and he goes, "Well, how old are you?" And I think I was 26 at the time, turning 27. He goes, "You're probably too young." We all have a desire within ourselves to be better.
Did you always want to start your own business?
I remember calling my dad and go, "All right, let's do this, let's go." Drew up the business plan. Dad was the business partner. Here we go. Settled the property, got the building permit. 2 days later, Dad's on holiday, bang. Yeah, my life flipped. The worst thing that could have happened, I failed, and I didn't want to let Dad down. I was watching this Italian renderer do all the side plastering, and I was just in love. I was memorised, and he spoke broken English, but like he was telling me about the lime and the bit, then he's like, and then the big, that's when the love of heritage started.
Big thanks again for making some time for us.
Coming out, boys, making the trip down in the cold weather.
We're braving it. We're braving it. Paul said to order some concrete, so we did.
Yeah,
and we're slowly hardening up.
Took a little teaspoon.
Yeah. One thing that I know us as a team have been chatting and always find fascinating with you is just the level of passion that you have for what you do. But it's the combo of passion, which I'm keen to dive more in this chat today. But passion coincided with work ethic, which is pretty unique.
Yeah.
And I know you've mentioned in the past that work ethic for you started pretty young.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
I grew up in my dad ran family business with his 4 brothers, and school holidays involved pretty much getting up at crack of dawn, 5 o'clock, getting dragged to the docks and unloading containers all day. So I think, and I look back on that and go, at the time you hate it, but I look back at it now and I think, a lot of kids these days actually lack work ethic. Like, if there's one thing I appreciate it for now is, the value of work ethic, and especially as a young fella, trying to find his way, especially through puberty and all that sort of stuff, and find his place in the world. Having a good sense of work ethic and also knowing the value of it, I've carried that all the way through into my business to now.
Did you have a choice as a kid to have to help?
No, I should know. No, I didn't have a choice.
You were just woken up and said, "Let's go."
Well, I think when you're young, you learn you've got a task to do. You've got to get through, 5 containers all day, and you're not going home until it's done because tomorrow we've got another 8. So and you've got a week of that. So it's like, well, no, you can sit there and sulk about it. It's like the work's got to be done. So roll up your sleeves and get into it and go hard.
I think that's an important lesson to learn. I think definitely, and earlier the better. That idea of like, it's done when it's done. It's not, we're
clocking off now. Yeah. It's like, no, because that's still going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, for the jobs that we do, like these homes, it takes a lot of effort. Like nothing comes easy with them. There's a lot of finessing. There's a lot of thinking. You set a plan and then halfway through the day, you're like, this isn't going to work. We've got to reevaluate because of how old the home is or whatever it is. And it's still going to be there when you come back tomorrow. So we've got to figure it out and we've got to sort it.
And then in terms of the work ethic, no doubt that if that's a big thing to you, that would be a big thing for Secon as a team.
Massively, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you go about looking for that or developing that in the team?
I think it comes down to culture. Like I'm the type of leader that likes to lead from the front in some sense, but it's a bit hard to be on the tools every day, and I'm certainly not anymore.
Yeah.
It's having the right guys. You can see it almost straight away when you trial a kid or when you trial a carpenter. They've just got that can-do attitude, and I think that like skill can be taught, but the attitude is everything. Like guys that come in right at the seas, but more than anything, the guys are passionate about what they do with these. Like, it's interesting. It's not the same mundane stuff of slapping up a frame on a new home. It's really intricate work, and it keeps them ticking over.
Yeah, one thing that a recent story we created for you, just that focus on heritage. Yeah. And I was just like, the way you articulated there was incredible in terms of these homes that have been around for some of them hundreds of years. And because they're heritage listed, everyone knows they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so it just raises that bar, which you lean into in terms of, well, we've got to make sure this thing is rock solid for the next hundreds of years.
And that's it. So everything we do, like it's almost creating legacy. Like this home's going to be around for another 150 years, 200 years. Now, most of the time, and it's the same formula, we're pulling apart someone's reno at the back. But the reno at the back didn't have the same building methodologies, doesn't have the science behind the building that we have, in our hands at the moment. Like we've got great resources, with supporting master builders, HIA, but also all these consultants now that understand the science of these homes, and we're able to implement these building methodologies, these innovative materials into these homes to not just make them last another 150 years, but make them more comfortable. To increase better health and care for their residents. Like they're old drafty homes. Like a lot of people that own them, sometimes they're elderly. They want to be comfortable, and if COVID's taught us anything, it's about people want to live in their homes for longer and also be more comfortable. So we've got innovation to be able to do that now. So we're putting our stamp on it. I feel like over the next, or for our generation, that we're going to make these homes more comfortable, but also be a lasting legacy. They're going to last another,
that's
100,
amazing.
200, 300 years.
And when it comes to these homes, because that's something that continually I feel like just pulses through your veins and just like, I don't know what word it oozes from you in terms of just the passion and love you have for these types of homes and the niche that you guys specialize in. When did you first start working on these homes, or when did you first fall in love with this type of style?
I did, after doing my stint on the docks as my childhood, I thought transport logistics isn't for me. So I studied at RMIT construction diploma. Got a side. I actually loved what I was learning. Yeah, really. I didn't think I would, because I didn't actually enjoy school that much. I just thought I was just going to go get a carpentry apprenticeship. But fortunate enough, I took on the diploma and loved what I learned.
While you were learning it, what was it like in terms of, was it easy to see the application?
It was, well, part of it was 4 days a week. It was pretty full on, but then on the side, I got a labouring role for 2 days a week and sometimes weekend work. And I worked for this little local builder down in Albert Park. And
how far is that from here?
Albert Park, it's probably about 20 minutes, half hour. It's down on the bay. It's down near Port Melbourne, right on the water. Beautiful spot. It's got Albert Park Lake behind it, where they do the Grand Prix. But that whole precinct was like, back in the day, worker cottages, solid brick homes, single fronted, beautiful wide streets, a bit like here. And what I was learning at the RMIT was about construction management, construction methodologies. But then when I saw, I was labouring on this single fronted townhouse, and I was watching this Italian renderer do all the side plastering, and I was just in love. I was memorised, and he was telling me about how he's doing it, why he uses lime, no cement, the process of curing, how many days you got to let cure. And the finish he gave on this was like glass down this passage wall. And I was just like blown away by that. Then I was up on the roof, and we're converting this little attic into a storeroom. But I was watching the carpenter, and he was working out the pitch on the angles of the roof. And this timber's 150 years old, and he's got it out, and he's marking it. He's sharpening his saw, because you have to do it by hand and cutting it, because they'll expose rafter tails. And I was just like blown away by the whole process. And that's when the love of heritage started. Like every intricate detail, even the skirting boards, the mouldings. Really fell in love with Victorian homes.
Gee, wow. And then, I mean, a big part, like anyone, you didn't just start Secon one day, but a big part before that was just honing the skill, developing the skill to then start Secon. What was your apprenticeship or working under other builders? What was that like, and what were some big lessons you took away from that time?
So I got accepted into the construction management course at RMIT, and after doing the diploma for 2 years, and I thought, I want to, especially after working on site and having a taste of it, I'm like, I want to go get a carpentry apprenticeship. So I found a local builder I worked for in Bayside, and extremely thorough builder, really good quality. He had a big team, and he had a lot of projects, and so I had a mix of doing period homes with a basement, doing Hampton sort of style homes. We did a couple of big townhouses, then apartments. We had a good mix. And I just really loved learning, the art of the craft of carpentry. But then it got to the point that my boss's business was expanding and growing, but he didn't have the resources in the office, and he knew that I did the diploma. So he pulled me in and said, can you help me out in the office for a couple of days a week doing estimating takeoffs?
How'd that go?
For me, I thought I was not taking a back step, but I was really enjoying carpentry, but I still knew I wanted to keep learning. So spoke to the old man and he said, go for it, just try it.
Yeah.
What can go wrong? Like, don't like, go back to on the tools.
Was that helpful, having that support from your dad?
Yeah, massively, yeah.
Especially, I mean, just that stigma around sometimes, your parents going, you're going to uni and then you're going off and doing a trade or
No,
something different.
I always valued my old man's, most of us do, valued their opinion.
Yeah.
And I looked up to him a lot, like he's running a successful business with his brothers. So, no, I valued his opinion. And so I gave it a go. And, full credit to my boss, like he taught me everything I know, really.
Right.
I thought I'd learned a lot in RMIT, but then stepping into the office with him, then learning how to estimate a job on paper, then to go and execute it as a supervisor was just incredible. Like a great opportunity, and he threw a lot at me, and it was a big sink or swim.
Yeah.
I went from, I didn't even complete my carpentry. I ended up going from carpentry to sort of estimating / supervising, then to project manager, and then essentially the construction manager of his operation.
That's incredible that you had that opportunity to move between those.
I got to do everything. I mean, it was the quoting, then to the point of dealing with clients.
Yeah.
Then development management. So, all right, so here's the set of plans. All right, our budget's X amount, how are we going to skin it?
Okay.
Value management for, for his developments. And I think it was, I feel very fortunate that I had such a, I guess, a mentor or someone to learn off.
That's something I'm keen to come back to, actually. I know that's something we've noticed, and even in synthesis and stuff, like talking about just how passionate you are about leadership and mentoring you guys.
Yeah.
And that team culture you mentioned earlier. Just since I've turned up, I can see that. Like, your guys don't just waffle around on site. They walk with purpose wherever they're going.
Oh, I'm sure they've done it once. Like a dog, do it once.
And so then you were learning under this guy, and then at what stage did you always want to start your own business, or what stage did you realize you wanted to and then decide to?
I think halfway through that, when I was, from starting in the office so I started in the office around 23, and then got my builder's license when I was about 27. I think it was around 26 or something. I decided I'm going to have a crack.
Okay.
Like, I want to, and
why? What was it that I don't know made you go, why not give it a crack rather than, because by the sounds of it, it was a great experience working under this guy. So why? And no doubt you would have seen how hard it was. It's not easy.
No, it certainly wasn't easy. I think we all have a desire within ourselves to be better.
Okay.
Not better than the next guy, but
better today than I was yesterday.
Constant improvement. It's human nature. Like, we just want to constantly improve. And it got to the point where, the projects we're doing were bigger, but they were getting, like 35 apartments tonight. And my passion always was coming back to doing renovation or new homework. And he was stepping away from it, doing more developments.
Okay.
I had an opportunity that my dad was looking, not for a way out, but to take a couple steps back in his business. Being a CEO of a big transport company, he thought, we spoke about doing potential developments.
Yeah, right.
We spoke about doing, him coming on as a business partner.
Epic, yeah.
And that made me more hungry for it. I think more than anything, because it's like, we've got a business plan in place. We probably wrote it out together. And like, all right, let's give it a go.
Were you always close with your dad, or was it more in later years?
I think it was more in later years.
Started
because
being a topic of discussion. And
besides getting, I think
getting put in line a few times,
getting driven out to Footscray or Altona. 5 o'clock in the morning was the most amount of time I spent with him growing up. But then
probably just sleeping in the car on the way out.
Oh yeah, you'd fall asleep as soon as you hopped in the car. But I think as we got older, I could relate to him more, and
totally.
I matured a little bit. So I think that was a great, not out, but an opportunity I saw, and so and
also probably a great opportunity to grow as the relationship there between you guys.
100%. Yeah, and going back to my previous boss, it all stems back to work ethic. Like he by far was and was well known for being the pushiest builder in Bayside. Like he got his blood, sweat and tears out here for a day's work. Like you worked hard, and I think that has carried on into what I do today. You know, like that value of working hard and delivering, but also very astute. He's a man of his word.
Yeah,
handshake means it's a deal.
Yeah,
So,
I remember talking to you a year and a half ago, maybe more, and just sharing about some of your lessons at that stage. And you were saying, like, I went to deadlines and stuff like that, and like you pushed your team, but they met you there.
Yeah,
and you delivered on an insane amount of projects.
Yeah, we had 7 handovers before Christmas in 1 year, and I swore black and blue I'd never do it again. But we had I could see the writing because projects were staged and COVID and all this sort of stuff hit, and I just pulled the team together and said, guys, there's a surge coming, and I need you with me.
Ready.
And everyone get ready. And to everyone's credit, they did it.
But when you talk like that, I get this idea of like the Spartans and like your team, like, get ready, guys.
Grab the spears.
But I remember you saying that it was incredible that your team met you, you guys accomplished it, and although you don't want to be pushing like that all the time, it's not maybe sustainable, but for everyone to feel so proud to go, hey, look what we were able to actually achieve together.
Huge.
Beyond what we thought was possible.
Yeah. And it comes back to culture and also that work ethic.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Jordan, one of the boys here, like, at this project in St Kilda, all week till like 10:30, 11 o'clock every night, just pushing hard for this handover. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and I like the fact that that's not something you go and shove in your client's face.
No, they don't know about it. At the end of the day, walk through the door and go, wow,
it just happened.
Yeah, blink.
Yeah, but that's what I think you like. I know we'll touch on it later, but like a huge passion of yours is the quality. We'll get there. Because that's something like I've just sort of been studying about you, which I'm keen to raise. But sorry, going back to you and your dad were talking about starting the business together, and you were building that relationship. He had a high work ethic, which probably helped him go, all right, we could do something together. You've proven yourself as being good work ethic.
Well, you could see, that my skills were expanding. Yeah. And I told him, I'm ready to go get my builder's ticket. And I remember when I first started working for my boss, it would have been 21. And talking to a couple of the carpenters, they're there for probably 5 years. They were qualified. They were pretty skillful. And the question was, what do you want to, do you want to learn to just build, or do you want to actually know how to build a house start to finish? Like that, and that was the the motivator, I think, for me more than anything. It's like, I don't want to just learn how to hang a door or do a deck or do a frame.
Yeah.
I want to learn. I want to be able to build my own home. That was the motivation. Like, it was always, I want to be able to buy a house and renovate it by myself.
Yeah.
Because if you can do that, you're sort of like, oh, well, not you're better than the rest, but you're well established.
Yeah.
And that was always my motivator. But as I found out in the first 5 years, there's a lot to building a home. And it's not just what happens on site. There's a lot that happens in the office. So for me, that was like, all right, that's a big motivator, big drive.
Yeah.
And then time to get my builder's ticket. And I found it really challenging and rewarding managing that at like the business for my boss, and also getting my license. And then when I did,
at the same time.
Yeah, it was a real, I think it's a milestone, achievement that you keep to yourself a little bit. Because I remember after the interview, and I got approved, I remember going into the interview, and he goes, "Oh, how old are you?" And I think I was 26 at the time, turning 27. He goes, "You're probably too young," straight out. And that's at the start of the interview. I was like, oh, shit.
All this hard work.
Do I need more grey hair? What's the qualification for it? And then,
the trick is to walk in with as much facial hair as you can.
Yeah, I know I've always been hairy, so I mean, like, I thought I had that, but and then blitzed it. Like, it was
incredible.
Yeah. I was proud of myself. Walked out and going, all right, well, I'm the youngest builder that you signed off on then. And he goes, yeah. I'm like, good.
Wow.
Yeah. So for DBU Unlimited, and then I remember calling my dad and go, all right, let's do this. Let's go. Yeah, I'm ready now. Go.
And then what did that starting the business together look like?
So we drew up the business plan. It was a whirlwind of a year, actually 2 years. So Jade and I bought our first block.
Yep.
and we were going to put 2 townhouses on. And obviously, had the license to do it, ready
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
Dad was the business partner.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And then settled the property, got the building permit. 2 days later, Dad's on holiday, bang, passed away. Or he had a cardiac arrest, and unfortunately, my life flipped. So I get a little bit emotional talking about.
No, that would have been a lot to deal with.
So I think from that, I still had the hunger.
Yeah.
Like, I weighed up, like, do I go back to work? Or
Yep.
I'm like, no, I've committed to this. I've still got Dad on the business plan.
Yep.
And
You guys
I think,
plan to execute like this, and
yeah, so for me, it was like, I want to see this through, and I want to
Amazing.
make him proud.
Yeah.
And that was that, and to this day, it's still a big motivator.
yes. And what was the lessons? Because that's always big. Start the business, first project. It's your own project.
Yeah.
What are some of the big lessons you've learned?
Well,
from
the
that?
big lessons in that, there's a few. So I was doing that on the side while still working
Okay.
because I needed the income.
Yeah.
Being my first project, obviously it was with Dad, and obviously he was part owner in the block, or we were loaning the money through him.
Yeah.
Well, that turned off when he
Oh,
died.
yeah, that
So
would've been-
so I had to really hustle, I guess, in
Yeah.
a way. Had to do everything myself.
In hindsight, how good is hustling and pressure?
Well,
In
I'll
hindsight.
tell you what,
In hindsight.
yeah. It just
Always
about killed me
hindsight.
that year. But, and we got married at the end of that year too, so I had a deadline to meet to be able to move into that property. It was a bit of a blur.
Yeah. I'm getting a theme here of Peter can always accomplish way more than the average man in less time.
I do like a bit of a pressure cooker. I feel like I do, when the pressure's on, I can succeed, or not succeed, but thrive.
Thrive.
Yeah, I don't mind a bit of pressure.
I like that.
But yeah, that year, we learned a lot.
Yeah.
Resilience was probably the biggest. Losing Dad, and then I guess using that as a motivator to make sure everything I did moving forward, he'd still be proud. So then continue through, because I was committed, and that was one thing Dad was always said. If you say you're going to do something, do it.
Yeah.
And do it properly.
Yeah.
So I think the lesson I learned for that was that built 2 townhouses.
Yeah.
We sold one. Then we were able to finish ours. Smashed it all within 8 months. Got married.
Yep.
And then started the business like officially the following year.
Okay.
Out of my own. And
Wow.
we had a couple of projects lined up just through architects. And again, same thing, just on the back of my mind, what would Dad do in this situation? What would, and I think it's always like,
Has that always been a helpful compass?
it has. It's been
Yeah.
a really good compass, because he was a man of honor, man of his words.
Yeah.
But I think, as we all do, like, we've always got someone in the back of mind. What would he do, or what would someone that we look up to?
Yeah.
How would you hold yourself in this situation?
That's cool. Earlier at the front there, you were talking about just that big lesson, or not lesson, but that sink or swim moment where everything you had planned then turned upside down.
Yep.
Passing your dad, and then you had to, but you using him as a compass in terms of, okay, what would Dad do? And it was, well, we've planned on this. Let's do it. Let's do it to a really high standard.
And I think, the resilience you get out of going through hardship, like everyone talks about, you go through hardship and the lessons you learn from it, you come out better for it. Like, the worst thing that could have happened, I failed at the business. I didn't want to fall into a heap because I had a brand new wife. We wanted to start a family. I had my mum to support.
Yep.
You didn't want to let anyone down, and I didn't want to let Dad down, because I made a promise to him that I'd look after everyone. Yeah. Before we turned the switch off. But resilience is a big one. But I think backing yourself was another one. It was it's like a progressive sort of thing. Like, I remember, like we talked about when I was 12, working on the docks, and rock up and there's 5 containers that you got to unload, and you're like, on a hot summer's day, you're like, but I've got to do it. So you learn, okay, you'll get through it. Then worked for my boss, and then he threw through sink or swim, through the kitchen sink at me and everything else, and like, got to get through this.
Yeah.
And then this was sort of no different in a sense, just a lot bigger and grander. That you got to back yourself and go, no, I'm going to set a plan in place. I'm going to get through this.
Yeah. What was that like? And what did you see once you backed yourself and said, no, I'm doing it? what did you see from, how did those around you, what's the word I'm looking for? How did they respond to that?
I think it sort of helped in a way. Like my mum's very resilient as well, but she was, like I was sort of talking to her and like, oh, we've got to get up and get on with it. What else are you going to do? Like, that's not sit in a hole and cry about it. Like life goes on.
Yep.
And there's other things to look forward to. There's other things coming up. We had the wedding, which was a big driver for us as a family. It's sort of motivating. You bring people along with you almost.
Then you you went ahead, you did those townhouses of yours.
Yeah, so for Jade and I, our first project,
Yeah.
our first home, and turned it into 2 townhouses. And then
moving on from the townhouses, you then really started the business, and then you started to do client work.
Yeah.
And then what was that? Did you jump straight into doing these heritage homes at that stage, or what did that look like?
No, so when you first started business, you're sort of hungry for anything. So did a couple of bathroom renos, had lined up a couple of townhouse developments through an architect, but then started getting more and more renovation work.
Okay.
Now, some of it was small, like it was on heritage properties, but we weren't refurbing as such as might be a small little ensuite to the side or something like that. But just loved working on those older homes. I don't know why. I've just always been like attracted to the history of it, I guess. Just knowing how old and run down some of these homes were, I was always thinking of ways, all right, how are we going to help this improve? And sometimes I overcooked it because I'd go into a quote and go, I'm allowed for this, and we didn't want all that. And I'm like, sorry, I just love your home.
Yeah.
I just want to see that cornice fixed up. Sorry, but no, and then like anything, especially in Bayside's a very as a lot of suburbs are cliquey. Everyone knows someone, or everyone's related, or someone knows someone else that knows you.
Okay.
And so my biggest thing was reputation, because I wanted to keep working Bayside, but I wanted to work in these areas that had these beautiful homes. So my number one thing, what I realised, especially after fixing a lot of people's renovations that were done back in the 90s or early 2000s, there's builders out there that will rip people off. There's builders out there that it's just another project for them. For us, I wanted to make sure that was not me, but the service that we delivered was better than the quality we delivered. Now, we pride ourselves on quality, but the service we gave to that client meant that they're going to refer us again, but also it's a long-standing relationship that when I do see them down at the cafe with my kids and their kids, we can have a chat, and it's a friendship. It's not just thanks for the check, and I'll hopefully never see you again.
Yeah.
It was a long-lasting transaction of a friendship more than anything. And we knew that we kept doing good projects, but also kept doing good work, and being that can-do attitude. No, nothing's too hard. That eventually, we'll start landing bigger projects like this, and it has.
Yeah, wow. And I know that's something that you and I have discussed in the past, and we as a team have discussed it because we've seen it in you, is your level of quality that you and your team go to it's higher than a client will ever be able to appreciate. But it's almost like you don't do it for them. You do it because you know that that's the bar you've set.
Yeah.
But then for the client, you've understood. I'm keen to hear at what stage you understood the importance of service, because that's almost more important.
I think it's a learning experience I had working from my boss all the way through to running your own business. The clients we take for granted how much we know and how easy the building process is. The client doesn't understand half or a third of what goes into building a home or restoring a home or doing an extension. So we just take it for granted because we talk blasé to them because we just think that they won't understand, but they actually do want to understand. So a lot of the service was about educating, explaining the process, but also being very clear and upfront about what we're going to do and why we're going to do it. But then it's not just when the project's finished. A lot of the customer service comes in after. Nothing's ever perfect. We're not perfect. Mistakes happen. Things go wrong. It was like, yourself, when something goes wrong, you don't know what to do. You just want to call someone and just go, hey, what do I do? Or can you have a look at this for me? Sure. Oh, we know how to fix that. Yeah, sure. It's just being human, really.
Yeah.
I mean, like as simple as it is, it's just it's like I said, it's just not being a transactional relationship. It's being a good person. It's giving them service.
And that service, I know we've talked about this off camera as well. That level of service that you guys go to is huge on educating and communicating, and those two things are so consistent from when you first meet them, they haven't signed anything, right through to such regular updates, and they feel like, I mean, they're not getting their hands dirty, but they kind of feel like they're in there with you guys because they're and you and the team are all keeping them up to date with what's going on. And
Oh, some people like, you know, get excited about building. They want to learn. Like, you know, it's like learning a new craft, I guess, in some sense. But it's their home. It's their biggest emotional investment they'll make. So to be able to bring them along for that journey, to be able to educate them, but also get them involved. So we mandatory 2 weeks every site meeting, and sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes, you know, half an hour. Depends what stage of the project is. But we set aside the time so that they can come in and they can, you know, see the progress and then see what's involved to turn their home into, you know, the masterpiece that it is.
man, what do you think it means to them to have that level of service coming from you and the team?
I think it builds trust. Like, it's really hard, especially this day and age, to build trust. There's a lot of mediocre out there. There's a lot of people that are untrustworthy for good reasons. I think we all want to, especially when we spend so much money with someone, we want to know that A, we feel like we're not getting ripped off, that B, we've got someone who we can trust. Like, they're giving their home to us, that they've spent a lot of money, A, purchasing, and B, renovating, and want to know that their intentions are going to be delivered. That their, I guess, image of the end result is going to be that and some. And for us, I mean, there's no greater feeling than doing that on the day of handover and delivering that.
That's incredible. What does it feel like for you when you hand over a project like this to someone?
It's extremely rewarding. You obviously, you're proud more than anything. But I think going back to, you know, what we're talking about earlier, we're creating a legacy. So yes, we've made the home. The quality is amazing, but it's okay. We've made a small difference in a long timeline on this property to make this home more comfortable. We've restored it back to its original features. You know, we're part of that timeline. We're part of that heritage now. So in 200 years' time, when someone, what I don't want, I've always thought about this. In 200 years or 150 years, someone comes in and pulls apart one of our renovations for another bigger renovation or whatever it is. I don't want them saying what we say and go, "What the fuck were they thinking with this?" I want them to go, "These guys knew what they're doing." You know, like I want to have that. Like, this was the era that Secon were operating that made older homes better. You know, look at the workmanship here. You know, and I'm sure there'll be other innovative products that are 10 times better than what we're putting in at the moment. But it always plays in my mind, because when we pull up, say, flooring stuff, and you find an old newspaper clipping that's been shoved in a bit of brickwork, or something like, and you look at a detail, how they've connected something, you're like, what were they thinking? I wonder how much. You know, I don't want to be that guy.
One thing you mentioned at the front there earlier was that constant push for you and the team and those that you work with to be better today than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
One thing that is becoming always and ever more important in building, with more constraints that come or things like that, is just the efficiencies.
Yeah.
They're really, really important. And I know you guys, that's something that your whole team always look at those lenses at everything.
Yeah.
Is where can we make this more efficient, more smooth, and more enjoyable for the client? What are some, well, maybe as contrast, what would be some inefficiencies that you guys work hard to avoid?
Yep.
And then what are some efficiencies that you guys focus on implementing in your processes?
The building timeline is so long. Like, so usually when we get engaged is usually at the front end. So concept plans have already been done, or they've just got plans done, or if not, haven't even been done. Number one thing is, especially with a heritage home, there's so many unknowns.
Okay.
And there's so many surprises that can pop up.
What's an example of that?
Well, we're going to pull this property apart behind us. We know this reno was done early 90s.
Okay.
So we know that
So
how they built
the
it.
reno was early 90s, but the original build was?
The original build would have been probably late 1800s to early 1900s.
Yeah, okay.
But we know back then tip fees were expensive back in the 90s, and also builders were a bit rogue. So we know there's going to be a bit of rubbish and a few surprises under here as we pull it up. So there's surprises like that. It's just the no.
Okay.
But we try and iron out all that stuff very early on in the piece. So it's captured, especially at the moment in the current climate. Cost is everything at the moment. You know, cost of living is expensive. Cost of building is way too much. So we try and be very upfront, very early on in the piece, so we're not wasting each other's time, but also this is a realistic budget of what you need to account for. And here's the things that you need to think about. Now, you can go get other quotes from other builders, but this is our experience and this is our knowledge built into this, of what we know that what we're going to find, and also what we're going to have to do to refurb this back to its former glory. That's one big efficiency at the front end. The other is at this stage, construction. So we've got demo crew rolling in next week, but we've spent the last 2 weeks here doing shop drawings for our steelwork, for our structure, and it's all about efficiency and timeline and schedule. So when we say we're going to deliver the project back to our clients in 12 months' time, we are going to deliver it in 12 months' time because we're super organised.
So you guys constantly build, plan for efficiencies here, where the fruits are here, planning, fruits are here, planning, so everything just keeps...
Yep.
Right.
So it looks like we're not doing much,
Yeah.
but there's a whole heap of work happening.
Yeah. Like a swan or a duck on the pond with the legs doing this.
Oh, that's it, just
And
going,
yourselves
humming along, Yep. So the work we do now is going to reap the rewards in about a month's time when all the steel rocks up, and it's all going to go together.
Everyone knows where it goes, and it just slots in.
Yep, and we've got every job, we've got a dedicated supervisor. I don't like moving the guys around. This is, each project has its own dedicated leading hand / supervisor that the client gets to interact with, rock up every fortnight, or if they want to come in earlier, they can. But that person knows intimately the project inside out. That helps me obviously manage multiple projects, but also it gives ownership to the guys as well, with the sense of, like, this is their baby, and you see that in the quality of work that they deliver.
Yeah, that's something I remember in some of our first conversations I was really impressed with. It's just that, like, I love one that you always take ultimate responsibility.
Yep.
It's your name on things, but the entrusting you do while upskilling and believing in and mentoring your team is amazing.
Yep. Oh, the rewards you get from it are huge. Like, I mean, and you see it from project to project that guy or that team do. It's tenfold. It's like, it's unbelievable how the improvement and the things that they learn, and then, because at the end of the day, what they make a mistake in early on the piece, it's still there at the end of the project that they're rectifying or they're going to sort.
Right.
And it goes even after handover. So if there's any problems with this project in 3-4 years' time, guess who's coming out to look at it and fix it?
Yeah. Well, that's incredible, because that's in my head, all these pieces come together, which make quite a beautiful picture. When you take that picture and what you're building here, what is most exciting for you when you look forward to the future?
The work we're doing is getting bigger and better, and the properties we're working on are almost getting more motivating because it's such a big challenge. When you walk through here, you see some of the ceilings. We've got to protect all that and build a cinema room up in that attic space. So we've got to protect everything there while peeling the roof off. Like, the challenge in that is just, like, for us, it's rewarding because it goes back to younger days. Hard work means reward.
Yeah.
The sense of achievement that you get from doing something like that. yeah, it's really fulfilling. But also the impact that you have on the clients. I think that's number one. But the second is knowing that we're creating a legacy, that we're creating something that we're just like, we all get born and we all die, right? But what we do in that small amount of time we're here on the planet, if we can make a small impact on just a few properties, like for me, that's motivating. Like,
legacy keeps coming up for you, which I really like. And it's, what does it mean to walk around with those set of lenses in every day, in the small and the big? That idea of legacy. What I do here is part of a legacy.
I think it's, you want to have an impact. You want, like everything you do, you want to have an impact, like a good impact on people and their lives. But for me, I love property. I love to have an impact on these sort of homes, but also our clients. Like, although we build these homes architecturally designed, we want them to look good, but we want to know that our clients are super comfortable and they love where they want to stay here. Like, it's not just another turnover and we'll go live somewhere else after this because it looks amazing. We'll go do it again. It's, we want them to love where they live and enjoy it after we've, flipped it, essentially.
That's epic. And when you see what you guys are doing here and what you've been doing over the last decade, do you think your dad would be proud of you?
I think he would, yeah. I like to think he would be. I'm sure he has moments he goes, what were you thinking? But but no, it's on my back of my mind every day. And because every day we've got X amount of decisions to make, and we've always got X amount of problems that we've got to solve. I think it's almost a habit now. In the back of your mind, you go, what would Dad think?
Yeah.
What would he...
That's it. A floor like this looks like it's got some character. It's not just...
There's no easy way to pull them up, and they won't save,
Right.
so they just get crushed up and put in the landfill. Okay. Or sometimes they recycle them, they put them through, because it's natural stone, it's not recon stone, which is good, because it costs a lot to get rid of it. We use what they call green demolition mold, so they recycle just about everything. Like even some of the plaster and stuff doesn't just go to landfill. There's plaster recyclers that turn it into almost like organic mulch, almost in a way. So, yeah, like there's so much that gets recycled. Every bit of timber, every window, appliances, everything gets recycled.
But I imagine someone who's coming in here to go, well, this needs to be kept at a certain standard to have a second life. They're going to come in with another whole level of care.
Yeah,
versus someone who's just going to...
All the rafters, which are beautiful 120-year, 150-year-old timber, they all get recycled and turned into furniture, or beautiful feature beams. Yeah, like everything gets reused back, and sold back to us sometimes.
Plans you showed me earlier.
Yeah,
it's just like a ton of steel. That's gonna be.
Yeah, so we spent a couple of weeks here just really nutting out the build, making sure, because every home that we go into, nothing square or level, or they didn't have line lasers back in the day, and they probably didn't have the supervisors they have now, but. Nothing square, so we always have to adjust and tweak to make it right, to then marry the old to the new. And light fittings, we look after them, so we've got a guy come in, we pull them apart, package them up, he refurbs them, especially if they're chandeliers. We'll package them up, store them at our factory, and then when we're right at the end of the project, they're usually the final piece of the puzzle, reinstall them.
And what about the windows?
Yeah, so these are original.
Okay.
So these will be protected. So we usually install, Jordan's out there at the moment cutting up ply. We put shed ply over top. We just don't want anything to go wrong.
Wow.
And again, it's all these little things that we've learned along the way, but also it's taking the time to read it and study it, and then speak to people in the industry.
And that probably comes into what you were saying earlier about efficiencies, knowing that you're putting things in place at the beginning so you're not having problems and hold-ups. And
we do things properly. Like when we rectify that, we don't just slap some cementitious render over the top, because we know that's going to cause more problems. So we go, no, we scrape out what was there and we put in the new line mortar, and new line render, and new line plaster. And it's a process of going back to I just remember the little Tone bloke in our park. He just quality, and I learned all that then at a young age, and it just stuck with me. I
know, like you would have heard Cornet and talk about his wine story or stuff like that, or just the power of story. Like
Yep.
that's what we love. But it's that guy was kind of telling you the story of how and why he
Yep.
does what he does, and you fell in love with it.
Oh, I couldn't. He spoke broken English, but like he was telling me about the lime and the bit, and he's like the fucking and the but the process of it, he taught me, and I was working there for days and days, and I was just so impressed with it.
Amazing to walk from the previous place, which was about to really get started. You're prepping it to then be here and something that's finished, and I would say close to handover, about to be handed over.
About 3 days away. Yeah.
Oh wow! Well, thank you very much for allowing us in here. Then, shoes off, socks only.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, amazing to see the end result of what your team does. One thing I know that's come up a lot in today's conversation is the specialisation of what you guys do, and niching in restoring these heritage homes. What, from a client's perspective, what are some of the real benefits when it comes to working with someone who specialises? And funny enough, we were on a phone call with someone inquiring to build with you in the car on the way here. But yeah, that specialisation, what are some of the key things that or benefits, takeaways?
I think transparency, and again, we should go back to what we were talking about earlier about building trust. You want to know that the person that you're engaging, that you're going to pay a lot of money to deliver a service, is actually true and honest and they're going to deliver that service. But also, when we go to those older homes, we don't just think like what probably the builders back in the 90s did and go, oh yeah, we're just doing an extension at the back and slap it together. We doctor the home, especially if it's older home. We got there's always going to be problems, and it goes back to what we really thrive about is the legacy that we want to leave. We want to make sure these homes are going to last, but also our resident or the residents that reside in it are comfortable, and they're not having to deal with rising damp issues. They're not having to deal with drafty windows. They're not having to deal with a ceiling that's about to cave in. That's not good enough. So for us, it's about having the knowledge and the experience of working with these homes to know how to doctor it, to diagnose.
What do you mean by doctoring?
Diagnose the problems.
Okay.
So there's mold over here, but there's no leak. No, that's because there's rising damp issue, or that's because the wall can't breathe because the guy that did the last renovation sealed up all these vents. It's diagnosing every part of the home to make sure the problems don't keep occurring, but to B, that's going to last. We know that we're probably more expensive than other builders, and that's not from what we deliver. It's because we're allowing probably more, but also for us, it's a customer experience. Like I have a decent admin team, but that's because they're there to support our clients. It's not just me. I've got a great team, so that does come at a cost, but it's peace of mind for our clients more than anything, and it's building that trust all the way through.
That's amazing. I know one thing that talking with Roxy and your team, a big thing that, something that she has at the forefront of her mind is efficiency.
Yeah.
And that's epic from someone who is amazing what she does in terms of the administration side of things. Efficiency is very important for things to operate well, for things to go on time, to be done the
we're
right
all
way.
busy too. Like it's time that you don't get back. Like one thing we don't have an abundance of is time ever.
Yeah.
Whether because you're dealing with the kids or you've got a work-related issue, like you're just always short on time. For us, we want to take the whole process of the construction, even preliminaries and handover process, the whole lot. That's our baby. That's our job. That's not So we don't want to waste your time. We want you to come in, look how amazing it is. We'll talk you through the process. We're going to deliver this exceptional service through start to finish and beyond. That for you, it shouldn't have to be something that you're stressed about, or you're time poor, you don't have time to dedicate. We'll do it.
The client just gets to enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey.
I love that. One thing that you mentioned to me on the car on the way here, we were just talking about leadership. I know it's a big thing for you.
Yep.
One, being a leader that you are, but then also instilling others to be leaders. One thing I'm not sure if you noticed, but I wrote it down. You said leadership for you is the selfless act of making sure the people around you are supported.
Yeah.
What does that sort of mean, or elaborate on that for me a little bit?
Well, for me, especially running a team, is my job is to support them. So I've got Will here. He's on a job. He's running a couple other projects. my role is to make sure he's supported, to make sure he's got the information he needs, any problem that he's got that he can bounce off me. Like, it's supporting the crew essentially beneath me. I give them the autonomy to make the calls. I give them the autonomy to do the build. I give them the responsibility, and I put the trust in them. I just have to make sure I support them. And that, for me, that's ultimately being a leader. And I think it reaps rewards because I trust the guys, and I have faith in the guys that I know that their intentions and everything that they want to do is, or everything that they take on is with all good intentions. Whether they execute it right or wrong, at the end of the day, it's all about the attitude, not the skill, right?
Yeah.
And the skill can come along, but so that's where I've got to help and guide. And for me, I had that growing up. Look at the days I was working for my previous employer. That yes, he threw the kitchen sink at me. I had to do a lot of things, but I felt supported, and so it made me. It gave me the ability to excel and achieve.
What does that then mean for team culture?
We have the trust within each other. To be obviously to have the right intent to execute and do the right thing, but also to support each other. It's not just my leadership and follows down, it's amongst each other. It's hard to come by, and culture is one of those things that's really hard to get right in the team, especially in building, because it's very quick to walk into a project and go, who the fuck did that? Or what's this? And it's a blame game. Instead, I think more the best thing we can do as a team is not worry about what anyone else does, but focus on what we can control and what we do, and like anything, better it. So, all right, we did an amazing job here. What didn't go right? How can we better it? How can we adapt and apply a better system, a better process, or whatever it is for the next one?
Yeah, I like that. Like we talked earlier, today I'm going to be better than how I was yesterday.
That's what it's all about.
The team's going to be better today.
Yeah.
Always excelling.
Always excelling. Like, we don't want to settle for mediocre. We want to be excellent at everything. And
I love that.
Yeah. Like, why settle for mediocre when we can constantly improve? Why we can constantly excel? Yeah. And for us, delivering better and bigger projects for our clients.
Incredible. Pete, I've got to say a huge thank you for today.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks for bringing the weather.
Always. It's really Gold Coast. Nice warm weather.
I know, all is well.